Namaste. Welcome to Arogya Mitra podcast, your trusted companion in healthcare insights and expert advice. I am Dr. Varsha Sathe, your host, and I am excited to bring you a crucial topic which impacts global health: vaccination. In today's discussion, we will explore the science, working, and impact of vaccination on the global health, and also differentiate fact from fiction with our expert, Dr. Ruby Nang, a renowned pediatrician with the experience of 20 and more years. Welcome, Dr. Ruby.
Thank you.
So, let's get started with Dr. Ruby and discover how we can protect ourselves, our loved ones, and our community also. So, Dr. Ruby, let's start with the basics. Can you tell us about what is vaccines?
So, first of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity. And vaccines are basically products, biological products, which when introduced in our body, they give us immunity, they stimulate our immune system and protect us from deadly diseases. So, to just give you a context of the importance of vaccines, let me tell you, right now, currently in India, the under 5 mortality rate is 35 per thousand, which means roughly 4 out of every 100 children are not able to survive till the age of 5 years. It's a huge number.
Yeah.
And most of these deaths are because of vaccine preventable diseases. So we know that vaccines help prevent millions of deaths every year worldwide. So vaccination is very, very important.
Can you tell us how actually the vaccine work and protect our children from these diseases which you are talking about?
Vaccines are made from either a weak form or an inactivated form of the germ against which they are targeted, or it is some component of that bacteria or virus. So when it is introduced in the body identifies it as an invader, foreign invader. So the immune system is activated against that antigen and it forms lot of antibodies, forms immune cells and memory cells. These memory cells retain the memory for the long term, maybe sometimes in lifelong also. So in future, whenever that actual germ attacks the body, the immune system immediately recognizes it and it attacks it vigorously. So either the person will not get the disease or it will be a very mild form of the disease.
So basically, with the vaccines, we are just making immune system ready for the
Yes,
actual infection.
correct, correct,
So we can say that it is a training or a drill
correct, correct.
for the disease.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly.
We often hear that we should vaccinate not only for to protect ourselves but also for the community. We have heard it so many times in the pandemic. So is it true, and what is this concept of herd immunity?
Yeah. So when you are getting vaccinated, you're not protecting only yourselves, you're also helping the community through this concept called as herd immunity. In any population, there are different groups of people like infants, elderly, pregnant women, and those who have certain diseases which weaken their immune system. So these groups of people cannot be vaccinated against all diseases. So there are certain vaccines which cannot be given to these group of people. So we need to provide them indirect immunity by vaccinating the remaining population. In certain diseases like measles, if you have given vaccine to say 95% of the population, they will be able to provide immunity to these people who, remaining 5% who are not being able to cannot vaccinate them, or they will not be able to induce a immune response even if we give them vaccine. Okay, so this is the concept of herd immunity, that you provide immunity to a huge number percentage of population so that you can provide indirect immunity to the remaining people who are not able to, you cannot vaccinate those people. So this is the concept of herd immunity.
Okay, so vaccination, we can say that it is also important for the community as such. I think that
Exactly.
is what happened during COVID
Exactly.
pandemic, and we could vaccinate the elderly and the
Yes.
high risk people.
Correct, correct. But herd immunity does not work for all diseases, like all
Okay.
vaccines. So in cases such as COVID, as you said, and even in flu vaccine, where the strains keep on mutating, the virus keeps on changing every year or very constantly. In those cases, we cannot achieve herd immunity. It's only for different set of diseases.
Okay, but
Yeah, but in majority cases, it helps. Yeah.
if we see the broader picture,
Yes.
if at all we are following the vaccination
Correct.
schedule and
Correct.
we are
Correct.
vaccinating
Correct.
for the diseases for which the vaccines are available,
Yes, yes,
we can be protect our community as a whole.
correct.
We have seen that COVID happened or so many things happened. Is it somewhere related to the decline in vaccine rate, or what may happen if the actually vaccination rates decline?
If vaccination rate decline, there will be a lot of negative consequences. First of all, there will be resurgence of the diseases which are presently under control because of vaccines, like say whooping cough, pertussis, or measles. So this happened during COVID pandemic. Because of the pandemic, majority of the children could not be vaccinated. So in 2021 and 22, we saw massive outbreaks of diseases like measles. Okay, so this will happen because if you refuse to take vaccine, you are not only getting sick yourself, you are also allowing the virus to spread to other people, and also you are allowing the virus to mutate inside you. So every person who gets vaccinated acts as a barrier. You slow down the spread of disease or either stop. So it is very important that the vaccination rate should never decline. It should in fact keep going up so that more and more herd immunity is achieved, and ultimately over the years you will achieve eradication of a disease.
That's what
Yeah, that
happened for polio, I think
exactly,
so.
exactly, exactly.
With the help of the Rotary
Correct,
movement,
correct.
that is what we have
Yeah,
achieved.
yeah. So
So,
that is why government has this regular vaccination campaigns, because the the purpose is to eradicate the disease.
so government is doing so much to
Yeah,
protect us.
correct,
So
correct,
it's so simple that we
correct.
should just
Just go and
get
utilize it. Yeah,
vaccinated.
yeah,
So the message is so clear, loud and clear. So let's get to the logistics of and the details of the vaccines. Dr. Ruby, can you tell us 7 most important vaccine we should not miss?
yeah. So I would say BCG, which is against tuberculosis, polio, which is either in oral or injectable form for poliomyelitis, then DPT, which is against diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus, then pneumonia vaccine, measles, and rubella. These are some of the vaccines which are very, very important, and you should never miss them.
Okay.
And
And
these are all part of government programs also.
okay, and all these diseases have some life-threatening impact
Yes,
on
yes.
this.
See, all the diseases, in fact, which for which vaccines have been introduced in the market, every individual disease has huge impact, either individually or publicly.
So the risk is very high,
Yes,
and the
yes, yes.
solution is so simple.
Exactly. They are all life-threatening diseases, and very, very easily preventable.
So when you are talking about all these life-threatening diseases, and there are important vaccine, government is also creating so much of awareness. So is there a vaccination schedule which needs to be followed?
Yes, so in India, we usually follow either the national immunization schedule, which is followed by the government of India, or we have a IAP schedule, which is by the Indian Academy of Pediatrics. The government of India schedule includes vaccines like BCG, polio, and hepatitis B at birth. Then at 6, 10, and 14 weeks, there is DPT, pneumonia, rotavirus, H influenza, and hepatitis B. At 9 months, there is measles and rubella vaccine, and then again DPT boosters at 1.5 and 5 years. This is the government schedule. Then in IAP schedule, there are some optional additional vaccines, which include measles, mumps, and rubella. So at 9 months, government only gives measles and rubella. We give an additional mumps vaccine. At 6 months, we give typhoid and influenza vaccine. 1 year, we have Japanese encephalitis, hepatitis A. Then there are meningococcal vaccines at 9 and 12 months. And 15 months, we have additional chickenpox vaccine. And then after 9 years, there is this HPV or cervical cancer vaccine. So this is the usual schedule we need to follow. And we have vaccines for adults also. So it's a huge myth that vaccines are only for children. So there are vaccines for adults also, which include pneumonia vaccine, typhoid, hepatitis B, hepatitis A, then shingles or chickenpox, herpes zoster. So these are HPV vaccine is for adults. So these are some of the vaccines which every adult needs to take.
Okay, that is interesting because
Yeah.
there we have that myth, I'll say, in our mind कि once we have crossed certain age, we
Yeah.
don't need any
No,
vaccines.
majority parents actually forget about the vaccine after 5 years of age.
Yeah, yeah, that is
It's
also
very
one
common.
thing
Yeah, correct.
which happens because after 5 years, maybe the infectious disease come
Come
down a
down,
little bit.
come down.
So the visits to the pediatrician
Yes,
reduce, and
yes, yes.
that
Correct, correct.
happens. That's why maybe that is the
Yeah, yeah.
case. I also saw when you're telling about the vaccination schedule that there are multiple vaccine at a time. So as a parent, sometimes there is a concern that is it okay to give the multiple vaccine to the child at a time because they are small and can they take it?
Correct.
So what is your advice?
So usually see the vaccines contain antigens in very very low doses which are very safe. Usually in our daily life we are exposed to multiple matlab hundreds and hundreds of antigens. So our immune system is quite robust. It can handle all the antigens very easily. So vaccines contain very minor doses of these antigens. We can easily handle them, and in fact it is better for the child to have multiple vaccines at the same time because it cuts down their pricks. Okay, it cuts down their clinic visits. It is cost effective, it is safe. So it is an advantage actually to give multiple vaccines at the same time.
Yeah, never thought about it that
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Okay,
So some of the vaccines, like you can see 5 in 1 combination, 6 in 1 combination, then MMR. So a lot of vaccines are prepared like that to reduce the number of pricks to the baby,
yeah.
and it also increases their effectiveness.
Yeah, because after the vaccine, sometimes the kids also get the reaction.
Correct,
And if at all we are giving 2, 3 vaccines together,
correct,
so we
correct,
can cut down that period also
correct,
because
correct,
after every prick, it can
correct, correct,
lead to
correct,
reaction.
correct.
Interesting. So all the vaccines together is
Yes, yes,
better.
it is always better.
Also, sometimes it happens, doctor, that when we take the child to the pediatrician, some of the additional vaccines are suggested. So, what is this concept of essential and non essential vaccines?
See, the essential and non-essential vaccine is a term coined by the government in terms of whether it affects a major public, it's a major public health issue or not. Okay, so diseases which are major public health issues for the government, those are the vaccines which government provides free of cost because it affects a major public. So these are the essential vaccines. Non-essential is not the right term actually. No, it is the better word is optional vaccines. So non-essential or optional vaccines are those which are very important. They are also against life-threatening diseases, and at individual level they are very very important. But they are not a major public health problem. So government has very limited resources. It wants to utilize it only for diseases which are a major public health problems. So that is why we have limited essential vaccines, and the other vaccines are optional, which you can pay for and get it done.
Okay, but as a healthcare professional, as a pediatrician, you recommend all those vaccines
Definitely,
to be
see,
given.
all the optional vaccines are against diseases like say chickenpox, typhoid, meningococcal, which is a brain infection, Japanese encephalitis, again a brain infection. So these are all diseases which are life threatening at an individual level. So obviously, we recommend all these vaccines.
Okay, so the we can say that the concept of essential and optional
Yeah, yeah,
vaccine is based on the its hazard to the community health.
correct, correct,
But as an individual, all the vaccines are important to protect your child
correct,
from all these infectious diseases, which can have a very bad impact on his or her health.
correct, correct.
So, when we are talking about this impact on public health or community health, that brings me to COVID-19 pandemic. So, when we have given the vaccination, it was mostly adults. So, what is your advice? Should we vaccinate our newborn babies against COVID-19?
See, at present, there are no vaccines for newborns anywhere in the world. In India, actually, the lowest age for vaccinating against COVID is 12 years right now.
Okay.
So recently, I think the age has been decreased to 6 year for Covaxin, the brand by Bharat Biotech. But otherwise, about 12 years only you can take the vaccine. So newborns have to be given indirect immunity from their mothers. So either the pregnant women should receive the COVID vaccine or the booster during pregnancy and provide indirect immunity to the baby.
Okay. And this immunity is transferred through the breast milk?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The so if the mother, so the message here is you can protect your child against COVID-19 because that is also a lot of discussion on it that COVID-19 is also mutating and it is coming
Correct.
back.
Correct.
There
Correct.
are a lot of infections
Correct.
which are not going away. So if at all you are concerned and you want to protect your child, the mother can take a booster
Correct.
during pregnancy and it is absolutely safe.
Correct, correct. In certain countries like US, they have some vaccines from Pfizer and Moderna, which can be given above 6 months of age. But in India, it is still not approved.
Okay. So earliest what is available is 6 months,
Yeah,
but till that time you are protected by
by
your
your mothers.
mother's
Yes,
immunity,
yes.
because normally we
Correct,
breastfeed
correct, correct,
feed till the 6 years.
correct.
Yeah, six. Yes. So there is another lot of discussion about one more vaccine which is there is a vaccine against cervical cancer, which is HPV vaccine, and lot of confusion is there. So what is your advice?
See, HPV vaccine is against human papilloma virus, and it is usually transferred through when the person becomes sexually active. So we advise this vaccine before the person becomes sexually active. So the ideal age is from 9 years above, and it not only protects against cervical cancer, it also protects against different types of cancers like anal cancer, cancer of the penis, cancer of vulva, and some throat cancers also, along with genital warts. So it is recommended both for boys as well as girls, and the age usually it is up to 26 years of age. Sometimes in certain conditions it can be given up till 45 years of age also, but I would advise you to please go ahead, because there are hardly any vaccines available right now for cancers. There's only hepatitis B which protects from liver cancer, and this is a second vaccine which protects against cancer.
And cervical cancer is one of the most prevalent cancer, and also it is responsible for a lot of deaths in
Correct,
a young age, I
correct,
think so.
correct, correct.
So it makes HPV much more important.
Yes, definitely. Right now most parents think that this is only for girls, but
Yeah,
we need to create awareness that the vaccine is recommended both for boys as well as girls.
that's true. And somewhere we are connecting it to our beliefs that whether at 9 years my child is going to be sexually active.
Correct,
So we need to remove that bias. We need
correct,
to
correct,
remove that it is for the protection of our
correct,
children.
correct, correct. So when sometimes when I recommended parents who are not aware, they become little upset. That why are you recommending this vaccine? Because my child is not definitely not sexually active right now. But later on, whenever the child should get vaccine before they actually start getting active. So I definitely recommend this vaccine.
So, are there any side effects or any reaction to this vaccine? Because since we are giving it little early, and also government is also recommending it,
Correct.
sometimes it is recommended from the school, and we are told to give the consent. So, are there any side effects? Anything as a parent I should know?
Most vaccines have very mild side effects, maybe a fever for 1 or 2 days, maybe some little pain at the vaccine site. Other than that, usually there is maybe little muscle soreness, but these are all temporary, 1 or 2 days, and the child will be fine.
Okay, and is there any schedule for HPV vaccine?
Yes, the schedule depends on the age. So if you are giving it before 15 completed years of age, the schedule is 0, and second dose is given at either second dose is given at 6 months. But if you are giving it after 15 years of age, you have to give 3 doses. So 0, 1 and 6.
So, first
First
vaccine, then 1 month
1
gap.
month later, 1 or 2 months later, and the third dose is after 6 months from the
Okay.
first
Okay, so
dose.
it is either the
Series or
two
three
or
dose
three
series, yeah,
series.
depending on the age.
So below 15 is 2 series,
Yeah,
and above 15 is
three
three
dose
series.
series.
Both the series will be completed in 6 months.
Yes, yes.
Is there any booster which is required?
No, no, not required.
And if at all, when we are talking about HPV, you mentioned that we can give it to adults also. So for the adults, if at all the person is married or is sexually active, does that help? Or once the person has become sexually active, the
See,
vaccine?
once the person has become sexually active, the effectiveness will reduce definitely, because already you are carrying that virus. Okay,
Okay.
so already the HPV virus will be there in your body, but at least something is better than nothing. That is our concept.
Hmm.
So, as suppose if you have a family history of cervical cancer or some one of the cancers which I mentioned,
Hmm.
then in those cases, even beyond 26 years of age, the doctor will advise you to go for the vaccine. Even if it will not help completely, at least some help will be there.
So some protection can be
Yes,
given
yes,
even to the adults.
yes.
And as we are talking about the adult vaccine, what are the other vaccines which need to be taken yearly?
So in adults, we have to take influenza every year. Apart from that, there are no yearly. Of course, COVID-19 vaccine has to be taken yearly, because these two vaccines, these two viruses keep on changing. We all
Okay.
know that there are newer strains coming up every year. So these are the two vaccines which have to be taken yearly. Apart from that, there is this TT tetanus vaccine which has to be taken every year, every 10 years.
Okay.
And I've already mentioned hepatitis A, B. Um,
So for this hepatitis, when you're saying the adult, they should everybody should take it, or people with certain risk factors should take it? Like for doctors, we say
yeah,
hepatitis
yeah,
B,
yeah.
we are at risk.
Yes,
For dentists, they say a
correct,
lot.
correct, correct.
So any
See,
risk group?
ideally, everybody should take it because hepatitis B, as I mentioned earlier, it protects against liver cancer. So we have only two vaccines available to prevent against cancer. So why not use them? Right. And this is so cheap and easily available that everybody should take hepatitis B. But of course, it is recommended to people who are working with in medical field, healthcare professionals, because we are in contact with blood and other products, biological products. So obviously, they are little at a higher risk.
So
Similarly, hepatitis A is recommended for everyone because it can lead to liver failure later in life. But especially in people like who are homosexual, and also some of the vaccines are recommended depending on your lifestyle, your profession, etc.
So it is very important you are in contact with your doctor,
Correct,
depending upon your
correct,
lifestyle,
correct,
because as I could understand, the influenza will give you protection against the respiratory
correct,
infections,
correct,
and hepatitis will give you protection against the liver
correct,
conditions.
correct.
So like that, depending upon what your lifestyle is,
Yes.
the
So
adults
suppose
should
if you're
take.
going to a specific country, you need specific vaccines. Like you're traveling to Africa, America, you need yellow fever vaccine. So there are a lot of vaccine which are or your individual profession, your lifestyle, and your medical conditions.
So all these things have to be
Yes, yes, yes.
considered when we are thinking about
Correct,
adult
correct, correct,
vaccination. Thank you, doctor. So, doctor, let's bust some common myths, because the topic of vaccination is largely misunderstood.
correct.
The first one is most of the parents think that there are a lot of toxins in the vaccine. So, is it true? Is it a myth or a fact?
No, there are certain ingredients like this aluminium, mercury, which are used while manufacturing vaccines. So mercury is basically used as a preservative, and aluminium is used to increase the efficiency of the vaccine. But the amount of dosage, the amount of ingredients, the dose of the ingredients in the vaccine is so less than what we are actually getting from the normal environment around us. So mercury normally you will see in milk and seafood. You are already exposed to it. You're exposed to aluminium in medicines, in milk, water, food, everything. So the dose which is present in the vaccine is much less than the dose which we are getting from the normal environment around us. So vaccines are completely safe.
So, it is just a myth that
Yes,
they can be toxic.
correct, correct.
Another concern, which as a parent, even I had, was can I vaccinate my child if he has cold, cough, or he is taking antibiotics?
Yeah, so it is, yes, you can very well get your child vaccinated. Only if the child has moderate to severe illness, then you have to postpone the vaccines. Otherwise, in mild illness, maybe cold, cough, fever, antibiotics, none of them interfere with the immune response. So you can go ahead.
And your pediatrician will advise
Yes,
accordingly.
correct.
Sometimes it happens that we are following our vaccination schedule, and also the government has this vaccination drives. So, what to do if my child is already vaccinated? Should I give the second dose or should I skip it?
See, the government vaccine drives are not for your individual protection. They are to create a herd immunity. So it is your duty, even if your child is vaccinated, it is your duty that you must go and get your child vaccinated, so that the entire population is vaccinated at the same time, and it creates a good herd immunity.
Yeah,
Because the ultimate aim is to eradicate or eliminate that disease.
so we
Yes,
play our part in
yes,
creating that
yes,
barrier.
correct.
Also, there is also the concern of parents that I have given the vaccine to my child, then why did my child get the disease? So, how?
Yeah, so these are breakthrough cases. Sometimes they are rare breakthrough cases which happen because, see, every vaccine is not 100% effective. They are maybe 95% effective. So there are some individuals who will not evoke a good immune response to the vaccine. Everybody's response is different. Everybody's immunity is different. So not everyone evokes the same level of immunity to a vaccine. So there are some people who are not able to get complete immunity. But even if the child gets a breakthrough illness, it will be a very mild form. So there's nothing to worry. Even if your child gets a mild form of the disease, they'll recover earlier without any complications, which otherwise would have happened if the child was not vaccinated.
Right. So it is how the individual skin
Correct.
color is there, eye color is
Correct,
there,
correct,
also
correct,
immunity is
correct,
individual.
correct.
So
If you give a medicine, every child will react differently, right?
that's
It's
true.
a similar.
Also, doctor, there is always a concern that all these vaccines are there, but how they are tested for the effectiveness and efficacy?
Vaccines undergo a very rigorous trial. So there are multiple phases in the trial. First, there is a preclinical trial which happens in the laboratories, usually with animals. Then there are three phases of clinical trials. The first phase is usually with some volunteers, around 20 to 50 volunteers. The second phase is with hundreds of volunteers, and the third phase involves thousands and lakhs of people. Then all this data goes to some regulatory agency like WHO or FDA. They will review it and see if the vaccine meets their international standards. Of also, all these things are again reviewed by some individual independent bodies and ethics committee. After the vaccine is introduced in the market, there is the phase fourth. There is again surveillance, how the vaccine is behaving, how much, how, what is the efficacy of the vaccine, what are the people side effects which are which people are experiencing in an uncontrolled population. So all these surveillance is done. So there are any vaccine which is not found safe, does not enter the market. So all the vaccines which are presently in the market are extremely safe and have been extensively studied and tested.
So it is backed by a solid research and
Correct,
trials.
correct,
So we
correct.
need not worry about whatever
Absolutely
vaccines are available in the market.
correct, correct.
So that will definitely help to have a to all the parents out there to know how vaccines help and how they work and why it is so important to vaccinate the child and follow the vaccination schedule. So any take home message, Dr. Ruby?
My take home message is, when there is a vaccine easily available, why not protect your child? Vaccines are like superheroes for your child, okay? And they will give your child a very long and healthy life. So please go ahead, follow the strict vaccination schedule, consult your doctor, and ask whatever queries or doubts you have in mind. Please clarify them, and please go ahead and follow the vaccination schedule even for the adults. That's the best gift you can give to yourself, your loved ones, and to the community.
Thank you to Dr. Ruby. That was for such insightful session. All our viewers will be very, very fortunate to know all these things. And we give so many superfoods to our children. Why not a superhero in form of the vaccine? Thank you all. See you again for another insightful healthcare session.